This is a message from the Communist Party of Canada, Ontario, calling on the Ontario government to immediately cancel rent payments for the duration of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Communist Party stands in solidarity with tenants and tenants' rights organizations, calling to cancel rents and organizing rent strikes today on April 1st and beyond. The millions of Canadians who have applied for employment insurance in the last couple weeks, and millions of others, are either unable to pay rent today or are having to choose between paying landlords and keeping small sums for food and other emergency uses. A deferment of rents will only mean that massive and unpayable housing bills will become due in a few months' time. The burden of this crisis cannot be put on the shoulders of working people with the least ability to pay. The Ford government's ban on evictions does not go far enough. Federal financial supports are still weeks away and won't help those paying current extortionist rents. Ontario rental rates are the highest in Canada, while Toronto has the highest rent of any city at more than $2,300 for an average one-bedroom. Ontario has seen a sharp rise in homelessness throughout the last decade. Cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed in shelter residents, which threaten a health disaster of outbreaks inside cities' shelter systems. These shelters have been chronically overcrowded for years and have been pushed further past the breaking point due to the pandemic. It has never been as clear that housing is a health issue. The housing emergency did not begin with the current crisis. It has been steadily escalating for years thanks to capitalism's reliance on the real estate bubble, the unbridled greed of developers and landlords, and government collusion. The Communist Party has long called for a comprehensive provincial housing program that treats housing as a public utility and delivers it according to need. This would include massive construction of public social housing, closing rent control loopholes, and bringing in rent rollbacks for all renters in Ontario so that no one is compelled to pay more than 20% of household income for rent. Emergency housing action must be taken now to save lives during the pandemic. Most immediately, rent payments need to be cancelled for the duration of the crisis. Many tenants cannot afford to pay now, and more will be unable to pay in May. Women's shelters need to be expanded immediately as domestic violence becomes more dangerous as families are forced to remain under the same roof and since economic crises lead to more violence. Safe housing must be immediately found or requisitioned for the homeless. The province has expropriation powers, and there is enough housing, whether in hotels or in apartments owned by Airbnb landlords and owners of speculation properties. Housing is a right and not a commodity for the few to own and use to extract profits from the many.